In the blazing Texas sun, a man in a vest labeled compliance slammed his fist into my wife's face. The crack of impact echoed like a gunshot, bouncing off garage doors and stucco walls. For a heartbeat, the world froze. Emily staggered, her gardening gloves still on, one hand flying to her cheek as crimson bloomed under her skin. She didn't scream. She didn't even cry out. Instead, her eyes widened, stunned, as though the universe had betrayed her sense of order. After all, who expects violence over a fence violation? Her phone spun into the grass, screen cracked, but the camera kept rolling. It caught everything: the clenched jaw, the swinging arm, the blood. Curtains twitched. Neighbors froze mid-action. Mrs. Rodriguez with her garden hose slack in her grip, Carl Mitchell with a wrench still in hand. Even the neighborhood dog cut off its howl, as though nature itself recoiled. Inside me, something snapped. I'd faced ambush in Helmand Province, mortar in Kandahar, men who wanted me dead. But nothing compared to seeing my wife bleed in our front yard, struck down not by insurgents, but by imposters wearing fake authority. The screen door slammed behind me. That sound alone changed the air. I wasn't in uniform anymore, just an old Navy SEAL t-shirt, jeans, bare feet on the porch, but posture can be its own weapon. Shoulders square, weight balanced, breathing steady. The kind of stance that whispers, trained, dangerous, uncheckable. The two enforcers stiffened. Swagger drained like morning dew. They hadn't expected resistance. Not here. Not from me. I'm a Navy veteran, served with SEAL teams. I said, voice flat, not loud. Facts don't need volume. You just assaulted my wife. That was a mistake. Vince sneered, but the flicker in his eyes betrayed him. Tony's fists wavered, suddenly unsure. Emily, bruised but unbroken, raised her cracked phone again. Still recording, she whispered. That night, a timid knock came at our door. When I opened it, Agnes Porter, the widow with lace curtains and too many cats, stood clutching a manila envelope to her chest. Her hands trembled, but her chin was set. I can't keep this anymore, she whispered. I thought I was helping. But after today, I'd be a monster if I stayed quiet. At our kitchen table, she slid the envelope across. Emily opened it with careful fingers. Dozens of photographs spilled out pages from a black composition notebook, each filled with Jennifer Allen's meticulous script. Columns at the top read, name, violation, fine, leverage. Underneath, lines that turned my stomach. Mrs. Chun, purple mailbox, $500, divorce filing. Rodriguez family, flag too tall, $300, custody battle. Delgado, barking dog, $75, retired cop, limited income. Carl Mitchell, deck permit late, $2,500, high compliance potential. Emily's voice shook. This isn't neighborhood management. This is intelligence gathering. She's profiling families like targets. Agnes covered her face, ashamed. She called it her control system. Said every community needs pressure points to keep order. She made me her eyes and ears. I thought it was harmless. Until I saw her men punch Emily. Ray leaned over the photos, his ex-cop instincts kicking in. His voice was flat, hard. This isn't HOA work. This is organized racketeering. She's running your lives like a mob boss. The next morning, I met Greg Lamb, Jennifer's ex-husband, at a greasy diner off the highway. His limp was obvious, his Marine Corps tattoo faded but proud. He slid a thick folder across the table without a word. 15 years married to her, he muttered. You learn to keep receipts. Bank transfers. HOA dues funneled into shell companies, community compliance group, legal intimidation services. Tens of thousands siphoned away. Then came the recordings. Greg pressed play on an old phone. Jennifer's voice, slurred from wine but unmistakable. I hired those compliance idiots to teach that SEAL's wife a lesson. Military types think they're above me. I'll break them. I clenched my jaw until it hurt. Emily's cheek still bore the bruise. Now we had proof, not gossip, not suspicion, but Jennifer's own voice. That evening, the community center overflowed. Folding chairs filled, neighbors pressed shoulder to shoulder. The air buzzed, not with small talk about lawns or sprinklers, but with fear and anger. Emily cued the projector. First, the video of her assault. The sound of Tony's fist cracking against her face made mothers gasp, fathers curse under their breath. Then Anna's photographs appeared, Jennifer's. Control system notebook, blown up larger than life. People leaned forward, recognizing their own families listed like enemies on a war map. Finally, Greg pressed play. Jennifer's drunken confession filled the hall. Her voice dripped with contempt. I hired those compliance idiots. The room exploded. Shouts, gasps, accusations. A father yelled, "She hit a teacher." A mother cried, "She threatened our kids." Mrs. Patterson, the quiet HOA vice president, banged the gavel. Her voice shook, but her words were clear. By bylaw section 74, I call for a vote of no confidence in President Jennifer Allen. Hands shot up, 52 for removal, 1 abstention. 1 against Jennifer's own. It was over. Or it should have been. Jennifer lunged for the microphone before anyone could stop her. Her hair was wild, her eyes burning with manic rage. "You fools!" she screamed, voice echoing off the walls. "You think you're safe without me? I built this neighborhood. I kept order. Without me, your property values will rot, your families will collapse. You need someone strong enough to make the hard choices." 2 men moved to escort her away, but she tore free, spinning back to face the crowd. Her voice dropped to a hiss, cold and venomous. "You think removing me stops anything? Phase 3 doesn't need a HOA authority. I have connections beyond this pathetic subdivision. And it's already begun." The room erupted into chaos. Parents clutched their children's hands. Someone shouted, "What does Phase 3 mean?" Another yelled, "Is she threatening the school?" That's when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. A single text glowed on the cracked screen. "Your wife teaches at Sunset Elementary, right? Kids are so vulnerable at 3:15 dismissal. Signed, a friend." Emily gasped, hand covering her mouth. Her face drained of color. Ray leaned over my shoulder, his jaw set like stone. "This isn't HOA drama anymore," he said coldly. "This is federal. Threatening a school brings in the bureau." The crowd was unraveling, mothers shouting, fathers swearing, people demanding answers. Patterson slammed the gavel again and again, but order was gone. One father shouted, "If she touches our kids, she won't need a trial." Another yelled, "We need guards at the school now." Emily clutched my arm, whispering, "Jack, they know my schedule. They know the kids. How much have they been watching?" Her voice cracked, but her grip was iron. By dawn, squad cars patrolled Magnolia Drive. Blue and red lights painted manicured lawns in crime scene colors. Officers moved from porch to porch, gathering statements, copying photos, seizing devices. Parents yanked kids out of Sunset Elementary before the bell. Minivans clogged the street hours early. Teachers stood at the gates, scanning every stranger twice, fear in their eyes. Ray addressed the community that evening. His Hawaiian shirt looked absurd against the gravity of his words, but his voice carried authority. "Until the Bureau closes this case, we act like a unit. Parents coordinate pickups. No child walks alone. We post a rotation at the school. No exceptions." Heads nodded. Parents muttered agreements. For the first time, fear was shared, and with it, solidarity. The Polk County Courthouse smelled of bleach and fear. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting a sickly glow on marble floors. Every bench was filled, neighbors shoulder to shoulder. Reporters clutching notepads, cameras silently rolling. Emily walked beside me in her red dress. The same one she wore whenever she wanted to look unbreakable. Ray carried a bulging binder of evidence. Agnes clutched her trembling hands over a stack of photographs, and Greg Lamb sat stiff, jaw clenched, ready to testify against the woman who had once been his wife. Jennifer Allen entered last. Designer suit, perfect hair, expensive lawyer at her side. She didn't look like a neighbor anymore. She looked like a queen who believed the throne still belonged to her. Ray presented first. Calm, precise, every word sharp as a blade. He played Emily's video. The punch that cracked across her face echoed through the speakers. Gasps rippled across the room. Even the jury flinched. Next came Agnes's photographs. The control system. Names, fines, leverage points blown up on a projector screen for all to see. Neighbors in the gallery shifted uncomfortably as their private lives appeared like files in a dictator's archive. Next came Agnes's photographs. The control system. Names, fines, leverage points blown up on a projector screen for all to see. Neighbors in the gallery shifted uncomfortably as their private lives appeared like files in a dictator's archive. Then Greg took the stand. He pressed play on his recordings. Jennifer's drunken voice filled the chamber. I hired those compliance idiots to teach that SEAL's wife a lesson. Military types think they're untouchable. Everyone breaks if you press hard enough. Against her lawyer's frantic whispers, Jennifer demanded to speak. She rose, her smile brittle. I did what had to be done, she snapped. I protected property values. People like Jack Harper think military service puts them above rules. He's dangerous, unstable. I acted for this community. Her words backfired. Murmurs of disbelief swept the room. Parents glared. Teachers shook their heads. And then an officer stepped forward, handing the judge a slip of paper. Judge Martinez scanned it, then looked up, her voice cold. This court has just been informed. The anonymous threat sent to Sunset Elementary was traced directly to your personal phone. Mrs. Allen. Gasps exploded. Jennifer shot to her feet, screaming. That's a lie. Someone planted it. Greg set me up. But Greg only shook his head, calm as stone. The gavel came down like thunder. This court finds Jennifer Allen guilty of assault by proxy, harassment, misuse of HOA funds, intimidation, and terroristic threats. Sentencing: 18 months probation with monitoring, restitution of $8,000, 200 hours of community service, and a lifetime ban from HOA leadership. Jennifer shrieked as bailiffs shackled her wrists. You think this ends it? Phase 3 was only the beginning. Her voice echoed down the marble halls until the doors slammed shut behind her. That night, Magnolia Drive felt alive again. Grills smoked. Kids laughed under sprinkler arcs. Parents toasted beers under string lights. For the first time in months, joy was louder than fear. Emily's bruise was fading, but her fire wasn't. She organized a parent safety committee at Sunset Elementary rotations. Carpools, watch schedules. No child walks home alone. She said firmly. Agnes baked cookies for neighbors again. Carl, guilty but seeking redemption, volunteered at every project. And Ray raised a beer, grinning. Strongest damn block in Texas now. This story wasn't about fences or fines. It was about standing when bullies knock at your door. If you believe communities can fight back, share this story. Comment below. What would you do if fake enforcers showed up at your lawn? And follow for more stories where ordinary people refuse to break.